We have all been taught the exact same rule since we were kids. Work hard, get a good job, and save 10% of your paycheck in a savings account. We are told that if we just do this consistently, we will eventually be able to buy a house, put our kids through college, and retire comfortably. But in today's economy, following this advice is a mathematical guarantee that you will go broke. The problem is that we are trying to survive modern economic realities using a 1950s playbook. Our grandparents could save a fraction of their income in a standard account and watch it steadily accumulate enough weight to support a family. That generated a deeply ingrained financial traditionalist mindset. We still have this psychological belief that if our cash is sitting behind a teller window at a legacy bank, it is inherently protected. We log into our apps, see the balance slowly tick up over the years, and we feel responsible. But here is what you don't see on that screen. While the number in your bank account creeps up, the cost of the life you want to live is sprinting away from you. The price of a reliable car, a starter home, a week of groceries, and healthcare are all rising at a rate of 4, 5, or sometimes even 8% a year. This forces a harsh dilemma. You have to decide if you want the short-term psychological stability of a flat number that never dips, or if you want to maintain your actual purchasing power in the real world over the next 20 years. You cannot have both. Because of this silent wealth killer called hidden inflation, traditional banking is an active wealth-destroying mechanism. You are feeding a system perfectly designed to slowly bleed you out while the institution takes the profit. Average salary growth almost never matches the rising cost of basic life necessities. If your pay goes up by 3%, but housing and food go up by 6%, your cash requires more energy to buy the exact same goods. This chart tracks exactly how that math plays out over a 20-year timeline. The solid blue line represents a steady $10,000 balance sitting in a standard bank account. Visually, it looks entirely safe. It never drops a single cent, but the stealth loss is entirely hidden in what that money can buy. Assuming an average 5% inflation rate, this dotted red line shows your actual purchasing power completely plummeting. In just 5 years, that $10,000 will only buy you roughly $7,000 worth of real-world goods. Banks absolutely love this arrangement. They take your depreciating cash, lock it up, and lend it out to other people for mortgages and auto loans at 7 or 8% interest. They keep those massive profit margins and pay you back a fraction of a penny. By hoarding your cash in these standard accounts, you are assuming 100% of the long-term inflation risk, while the bank gets to reap all of the yield. To stop being the bank's most profitable customer, you have to build your financial armor. You absolutely need liquid cash for emergencies, but you only need a specific amount. The very first step is calculating exactly 3 to 6 months of your bare-bones living expenses. We are only talking about rent, food, utilities, and insurance. Calculate that exact target number. Once you have it, you save up that exact amount and deposit it directly into a high-yield savings account. This is the only optimized tool where your emergency cash should live. A high-yield savings account is just like a normal bank account, but instead of paying you practically zero, they pay you 4 or 5% interest. It requires almost no effort to open, and it immediately puts a stop to the worst of the inflation bleeding. But I want to caution you, an account paying 5% is merely a stepping stone. Even at those rates, it cannot outpace taxes and inflation aggressively enough to build actual long-term wealth. The sole purpose of a high-yield savings account is not to make you rich. It exists entirely as a defensive shield, so that you never have to go into high-interest credit card debt if your car breaks down or you lose your job. Once that emergency fund is full, you stop saving cash. This brings us to the pivot. The exact moment you cross over from middle-class habits to wealthy habits is the day you cap your cash emergency fund and divert every single new dollar of your savings into buying assets. An asset is simply something that puts money into your pocket or grows in value over time, entirely outpacing inflation. For most people, the absolute best, most historically proven asset to buy is a broad market index fund. Let's look at this comparison matrix to see exactly how powerful this pivot is. Take a traditional middle-class saver putting $500 a month into a standard bank for 20 years. After 2 decades of diligent saving, they end up with roughly $125,000. Now look at the exponential outcome of an investor who takes that exact same $500 a month and buys an S&P 500 index fund. Historically returning an average of 8 to 10% a year, those identical contributions compound into a balance closer to $300,000. The asset buyer didn't work harder or make a higher salary. They simply accepted short-term market volatility as the mandatory trade-off required to avoid the guaranteed long-term wealth destruction of holding cash. Executing this strategy consistently requires a passive financial system. If you are a time-poor earner, you cannot rely on daily willpower to make the right investment choices every time you get paid. The fatal flaw of manual saving is visibility. When you leave excess cash sitting in your checking account, you inevitably invite lifestyle creep. You see a surplus and you justify a car payment you don't need or clothes you'll rarely wear. This decision tree maps out the automated cash-to-asset pipeline. It is a logical series of routing decisions made by a computer the very second your paycheck clears, entirely removing your emotions from the process. The first logical path checks your safety net. If you have less than 3 months of expenses saved, the system automatically routes a set percentage of your income directly to your high-yield savings account. It fills up your defensive armor first. Once that emergency threshold is achieved, the second logical path triggers. The system immediately bypasses the savings account and diverts all remaining savings directly into your brokerage account to automatically buy index funds. This forces you to pay yourself first. Because the money vanishes into investments before you even have a chance to look at it, you are forced to live on whatever is left over in your checking account. Automation completely removes human error. You enforce strict lifestyle optimization today, ensuring your wealth builds silently and continuously in the background for tomorrow. Breaking out of this trap requires you to make a direct choice. You can cling to the psychological comfort of holding cash today, or you can secure the actual purchasing power of your money for the future. I want you to audit your own finances right now. Go down to the comments and tell me honestly, what percentage of your income is actively buying assets? Are you stuck at 5%, hitting 10%, or pushing 20%? If you understand the math but don't know how to execute the pivot, click the video on your screen right now. I have created a completely free step-by-step tutorial where I share my screen and show you exactly how to open a brokerage and buy your first index fund. Building real wealth is not dictated by the size of your salary. It is entirely dictated by your willingness to stop hoarding depreciating cash and start owning the assets that drive the economy.